we're here. Thanks to people who've joined and waited, and I hope you jump back on. I see a couple of people left. But okay, we're live. Facebook, Instagram, finally. I like to be on time. I guess I'm 4 minutes behind because of Facebook. And this is the little virtual party for my second collection of poetry, Spirit Excavation. It is pretty much everywhere you can buy a book. You know, there's Barnes & Noble, Amazon, I saw it on Target, a few other places. And I'm super excited about it because, well, like the first time I did a book was 8 years ago almost. It was like June of 2013. And I really just sold it myself. I just like bought a bunch of copies and sold it, so it wasn't anywhere else. Like you only could buy it from me. And so this time I was just like, I need it to be in places, and so it's in places. And this is very different from like my first book release party because I was in Philly at that time, and I remember I rented out. There's an old city hall in Germantown. And it was just like nobody ever used it. It was just closed, and they opened it up for like a week, and you could rent, not even rent, but just like secure a space in the city hall to do events, and it was free. And so I had my book release party in Old City Hall in Germantown, and I had people come out, and friends helped me like with some pieces, like beatbox while I performed, and it was super, super cool. So this is very different. Sorry to everybody for the time change. This was like, I mean, my book release was like set like 2 months ago, and then I unexpectedly needed to come to the mountains. I'm in the Berkshires right now. I thought I was coming tomorrow, changed plans, so I had to push this back, and I'm waiting for my other family to show up, so it might get a little noisy because I think they're almost here. So this is going to be a little bit hectic, but I like to celebrate when things are happening, when it's the time, when it's the day. So here we are. And so I'm going to keep this like, hopefully just like an hour or so, a little bit under brief. I just want to talk about the book because I'm really excited about it. It was really like crazy how this came up because I didn't really plan on doing a book. I was just writing again, and because I would sporadically write poetry like in the last few years, but before I would write all the time. So I was just like, I need to get back into the flow of writing. And so I started really doing some prompts and asking myself different questions. A lot of the questions I got were from the website Little Infinite, which is a poetry website. And they had like a few questions on like using poetry to, it was like excavate, what is it? I think the article is called Excavating of the Self or something. And I was like, oh, that's really, really cool. So I started just like picking different poems. I have a few poetry books. I started picking different poems and like journaling about them, asking myself these questions and other questions, and seeing what it brought out in me. And then I would take a few days and then come back to it and then write a poem based off of what I journaled. So that's really how this came about, because I started writing a poem every week. I think I started around November, October 2019. And after like, I think over 6 or 7 months, I was just like, I could really make this a book. And yeah, so here we are. So I actually wanted to do my first book of poetry, Love Cycles, which you can still get on my website, mellovibes.com. It has 27 poems in it because I was turning 27 that year. So I was like, I want to have 27 poems. So this one I wanted to do 34 poems, since I'm 34, but I ended up actually putting 40 in here. And yeah, and it was just so different. It was so different from the things that I usually write. I was just telling my mailing list people that I was always known as like a Love Jones poet. That's one of my favorite movies, but like I am a romantic. I write romantic poetry, but this is totally different. It's super like spiritual. There are some like love poems in it, but it's mostly very spiritual. Hi, Troy. And yeah, so I do want to like, oh, also, yeah, with the structure of the book. So I started compiling my book together, picking which ones I wanted to put in, which pieces, because clearly I've been writing for several months. It was like almost a year, I think, actually, and I had way more than the amount of poems I was going to put into the book. So it was like, you know, narrowing down. And then like I watched Shayna Clee, aka Purple Palace, on YouTube and on Instagram, and I was like in the midst of like putting my poetry book together, and she was like making a poetry book. She had just started making a poetry book for like her art class or something, and she started incorporating like her drawings, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I never thought about like putting pictures in my poetry book. So there is that too. So thanks, Shayna, for the idea. Like I have all these photos, because anyone who knows me knows that I've taken a million photos. I always had a camera in somebody's face. So I have all these photos that honestly I just don't really ever show people. So I picked photos that I thought kind of corresponded with the poem that was like next to it or before it or something like that. And so I think most of them I took, and then a couple of me that someone took of me. So there are photos in it, and oh hey, I don't have my book, so that's another thing. So I ordered a copy for myself and whoever ordered from my website, and I ordered them like 10 days ago or something, and they're print on demand, and they were sent out like 3 or 4 days ago, and they're still in Connecticut. So I don't have my book yet, and I thought about waiting until I got the book to show you, but I'll just do like kind of an unboxing later, and I'll just put it up on the Mellow Vibes YouTube channel. So for now, I just have my original notebooks in which I wrote these poems. So I'll do a reading of a few different poems from the book. And let's see, what else? Also I want to talk about before I get into it. So I kind of wanted to go over the poems that I read, that I journaled from the poems that I'm reading tonight. And I looked at the poems I'm reading tonight, and there aren't actually any of the poems that I picked aren't even of the ones that I journaled from. I think I have one or two poems that I actually like was looking at a poem and journaled from it, and then got another poem from that. So we'll go over all of that. So funny enough, I only have like one of those poems, and that's pretty rare, because basically 90% of the poems are from me journaling from something else. So anyway, yeah, so anyway, I hope you get your copy, you know, and love what's in there. I hope you love my photos. They're like different photos from, I don't know, like all over the place. I'll read my preface at the end, and I think I say where I got the photos from. But I just want to go over, okay, so I'll get into some reading. So I'll go with Growth first, which, okay, so there are a few poems in the book that I didn't necessarily write from, I didn't get from journaling from another poem, but I got from just things that I have, products that I have on my website, things that are mine, basically. So Growth was actually inspired by my first book of poetry, Love Cycles. And so I'll get into Growth. And so I have notebooks in front of me. I have the PDF of the book in front of me. So here we go. So this is Growth. She'd been here before, quite a few times actually. Hadn't she learned the sweetness fades like 10-minute-old chewing gum? Each time there was doubt, she somehow broke through with hope, and each time she left disappointed, more at herself than anyone else, because time and again she betrayed her intuition with the sweet lies she told herself, just to feel his embrace one more time, until he became the next guy, and the next guy, the cycle continuing until the day she would finally overcome the repeated obstacle and stand up for her worth. So that's Growth, and again, that's about my book Love Cycles, which was really about the cycle of a relationship, the whole falling in love, being in love, and then it like kind of just falls apart, and then it just seems to happen with the next person and the next person, and that's what that whole book is about. And until, you know, I think there was something that I read a few years ago in an old, it was while I was in an old relationship in Philly, and it was something about you're going to keep coming up against the same obstacles until you actually address it. And so I finally addressed what I needed to address with the person. And since then, I haven't had that kind of situation, because I would always have like the same situation, you know. And since then, I haven't had that situation, and now I'm in an amazing relationship, and I am getting married. So, yeah. Okay, so the next poem is Wisdom, which is also, I'm like, what did I journal that from? Wisdom. You know, maybe Wisdom is actually in here. Wow, I thought it was not in this notebook. Because I have some poems that I wrote on my phone, some that are on my computer, some in a notebook. And I thought I found all of the poems, and I didn't. Let me tell you how this was just so last minute, because we got up here after 8 o'clock, and I was like, I need to get in this building. I need to charge my stuff. I need to find my poems. So bear with me. I'm very, very excited about tonight, and I'm not more excited, but extra excited, here it is, because of my cousin is coming up, and she brought me my favorite pizza. I ordered it yesterday. She picked it up, like froze it for me. It's this place, Fino's, in Philly, in Mount Airy, and I love the pizza. They're the only pizza place that I've ever seen that has vegan pizza, like legit. The whole thing is vegan. I mean, well, they have other pizzas, like whatever, quote unquote normal, but they have a lot of vegan options, and I'm so excited. It's been so long. Okay, so that's what I have to look forward to after this. So, okay, Wisdom. Gosh, I feel like I did journal from something for Wisdom, and I didn't have time to find it. Let's see if, so I wouldn't have the original poems with me, but I would have my notes on them. Okay. This was from me journaling from a prayer. So I have a prayer book. I think it's just called Book of Prayers. I bought it in Nashville when I was on a retreat early last year. And yeah, it was a prayer. So, okay. I don't look through my notes on it, but that's where it came from. So this is Wisdom. Fruit comes when I listen for your word over mine. You instruct me to be still in places where I'd run wild, letting emotions overcome me. You remind me that I control them, not the other way around. You keep me rooted in truth so that my spirit can be free, reflecting on circumstances with clear eyes and an open heart. For you, there is nothing in this world too big or too small, and you reassure me that I am valued and worth it all. So that's Wisdom. Okay. Yeah, I really love that book of prayers, and I think from what my note says, I just read the prayer on page 95 because I didn't want to get up to get my book of Rumi. And it said, literally perfect prayer for this moment in time. It's about God's word covering everything, even when it feels like the problems are too big. So, yeah. Okay, so the next poem is Diamond. It's super short. This, I know I wrote, probably on the side. Yep. I wrote last year during all of the beginning of just a lot of heavy emotions and, all the torment, basically, that, we were going through, well, Black people were going through, and just the complete unrest, basically. I don't think I slept for a week. It was just, I was in total anguish. Um, and so this is Diamond. I did share it on one of my other Instagram pages. I have 4 Instagram pages, and one is Black Spiritual Creatives, and so I shared it on that page. And yeah, this is Diamond. The pressure is preparing me. Your firm hand is guiding and ushering us into brilliance. The walls left inside me are coming down, burning down, and my voice is being heard. Our black bodies are the coals that are destined to shine. We are the prize. We are the prize. And they're mad because they know it. Quick poem, Diamond. And yeah. Hey girl. What's up, Darlene? Thanks for joining. Cool. Oh my gosh, I have so many. Wait, do I even have this poem? No, I do. Okay. Well, we're not doing that right now. Okay. I'm gonna go into wonders. I didn't write wonders from anything, but if I remember correctly, I feel like someone had said something about writing about, I think I was watching something, and it was something about writing about a place that reminds you of home or your childhood or something like that. And so this is Wonders, and I have some Philly people in here, so hi, because this is about Philadelphia. And it's called Wonders. Fly by night, flight of magical dance, the wonders of you in certain places, a bag of soft pretzels with mustard and cheese, street music carried on a breeze, where water ice gives brain freeze. This is where I find you. At nightfall, lighting up the path to grandparents' house, trying your best to evade the hands that went to capture your beauty, while still gifting your mobile lantern bodies to our sight. Oh, how I ran to find you and keep you close, chasing you in circles on summertime nights, sometimes winning our game of cat and mouse. I got to behold your energy before you'd escape my grasp, because beauty never lasts, and neither do summer nights in the city of wrapped snacks and tasty cakes, reminding me that moments are precious, temporary. Like any lifespan, everything dies, but occasionally I still dream of a fistful of fireflies. So I love that poem. It really, the imagery for me is like, I really feel like, I don't know, like I'm 9 or something in the front yard of my grandparents' house on Church Lane and in Germantown, and like chasing fireflies. Because literally I have never seen fireflies anywhere else but Philadelphia. I don't know if it's just me. Thank you. I don't know if it's just me, but I swear I've never seen fireflies anywhere else. And so I have all the little Philly things in there, soft pretzels, you know, tasty cakes, wrapped snacks, water ice. So I love that poem. And yeah. Okay, so the next poem, okay, where am I going to find this poem? I think it's in the PDF, because I actually have it written on paper, wedged in between pages of my book Love Cycles. And I used to know this poem by heart because I performed it quite a few times, actually. That was a while ago. And I wasn't sure if I was going to put this in the book, because it's a love poem, and it's, I wrote it in October of 2013, and my book had come out in June of 2013, and I had so wished that I had written it sooner, so it could have made it into that book. But I was just like, next book. So, you know, 8 years later, here's the next book, and so I put it in there, and I actually wrote it about somebody I was dating at the time. So, it wouldn't have worked. I wrote that. I started dating this person at the beginning of June, and then, so it wouldn't have made the book anyway. Too early. But, yeah, so this is Mind Over Matterland. It was really inspired by a lot of different things, actually, but mostly fairy tales. And I was really, really big on the show Once Upon a Time at that moment in time. And there's like a whole part of, like the prince would always say to Snow White, like I'll always find you. So like something about that is in there. And also I had like a Alice in Wonderland tea. I can't remember where I got this tea, but it had something about like a Wonderland warranty on it. And I used to carry that box with me when I would perform this poem so that I could read the Wonderland warranty. But it was something like, what will be, what appears to be isn't what isn't is, and something like that. Some kind of like brain twister, but yeah, so this is Mind Over Matterland. I want to live in a dream with you, a cotton candy colored, sugary, sticky sweet, melt in your mouth kind of dream. And who's to say that I am not already? Because every time I close my eyes, you are there, and I am there with you, and it's bliss. But it doesn't last because I have to open my eyes to the here and now at some point, and in reality, you're not here, and I am not where you are. So I dream with my eyes wide open, trying to will you into the present, and it almost works. I almost feel your energy surrounding me. Almost. So in addition to dreaming wide awake, I'm attempting to speak our fairy tale into existence, coming up with different scenarios where the outcome is always that you are mine, praying to fall under the Wonderland warranty where what is right now won't be what it will be in the future. I want a once upon a time with you and a lifetime guarantee that we will always find each other. I want to Peter Pan it with you so it feels like we've never grown up. We've just grown together. I'm ready to jump down that rabbit hole of mystery with you, not looking back, surviving whatever comes our way till we get out safely on the other side. I hope that fairies whisper my name in your ear, leading you back to me, and that the sound of fluttering wings was so faint that you think it was your idea. Because me, Tiffany, is the wonderland that you belong in, and you know it because your soul breathes that truth every day. I wish, many wishes, that I could live in my mind, the magical space where you and I can dwell, existing in a frenzy of intimacy, a whirlwind of love, butterflies, pixie dust, and brightly colored gumdrops, stretching time, spinning out into forever, sprawled out in a lush green field, fireflies overhead, outlining the sight of our energies crashing together. Crash, my glass shield of protection, love, crack clean, cursed encasement. Kiss me, awake. So that's Mind Over Matterland. And really, like, the end of it was about how I'm like such a daydreamer and I like always live in my mind, and how I wanted to be in a space where I could wake up from that and like live in reality. So like kiss me awake. And yeah, so that is Mind Over Matterland. That's now. Thank you. Yeah, okay. So Real World Revisions is like kind of the total opposite. Not kind of, it is the opposite. Because funny enough, Real World, okay, let me get my notes because I actually do have notes on Real World Revisions. So this one I actually journaled off of my own poem that's in my first book, Soul Purpose. It is probably my most favorite poem that I've ever written. And it's hilarious because I was thinking about this poem like 2 nights ago. And I was thinking that, I think I was listening to something about soulmates, and then it reminded me of my poem Soul Purpose, which is about soulmates. And I was just like, this poem, like I wrote about nobody. It's just like how I always wanted to feel. And it's like, oh my gosh, now I actually feel that and I actually have that. I'm so blessed that this is actually like my reality, basically. Oh my gosh, I'm like missing tons of messages on Facebook. Larry, hi. Mike, what's up? Barbara, hey. Thank you for being here. I'm just seeing these messages. I didn't realize I have to like scroll. It doesn't like move up like, you know, the live chats and like YouTube or whatever. Yeah, so I was thinking about like, oh my gosh, actually I have that with like the love of my life. And so when I just like literally before going live was finding my notes on this and seeing that I was writing about how I'm sad that might never happen, that I might never have like what I really want that's in the poem Soul Purpose, and that I can't like, in every time I'm in dating somebody, like try to make them that person. And yeah, I said it's uncomfortable to think that I may never get what is promised in this poem, and that many people rarely do. And so it's really weird to look back on this, which I wrote March 30th, 2020, and I met my fiance in October. So, yeah. So, but I wrote real world revisions based off of me being in this space where I might need to move on from this, move on to thinking that this is possible. So, real world revisions. Farewell, fairy tale fever dream. The pressure of magic has made the reality unpleasant. I stayed too long with you for an imaginary promise of Prince Charming. A lifetime of true love kisses when all I did was kiss frogs cloaked in clever costumes. Am I even a princess, a damsel? What does that even mean? Weak, wistful, waiting without agency? Why would I want that anyway? You've done nothing for me but convince me to waste my time with males unworthy of my presence. I'm better than this. Greater than this overplayed picture book of perfection that isn't even healthy. Resting, renewed, reconstructed, reprogrammed. Respectfully, I'm revising the story. So, I was like, I'm done. Not that I still don't think that's valid, because it is. Like, we're so programmed, females, to be like this, waiting damsel and waiting for this person to come along, and just, it's like I said, no agency. Like, you're not doing anything else with your life. That your only value is in getting married and being a mother, and that's just not true. That's the only thing we're sold on, is true love, which, that is really, we're so much more than that. We have so much more to give. And so, in me just pursuing my life and being happy with myself and my singleness and just doing whatever the heck it is that I wanted to do, and I stumbled into love. That's what happened. Okay, so I'm gonna end the readings. I'm just doing 7 poems tonight, and there are 40 in the book. I'm gonna end the readings with Star Child. It's one of my favorites from the book, and I wrote it about a friend that we just had like a lot in common. And Star Child was like one of my nicknames when I was like a toddler. I think my uncle used to call me that. He said it was like so still or something. And then my friend had like a book that was called Star Child, and I was just like, okay. So it's kind of like a spacey type of theme. Oh, thank you for listening, Darlene. Thank you. So, okay, Star Child. The thing is, we see stars together, float through space and time, and stare into infinity together. The galaxies know that we exist and remember times pre-us, recollecting sounds and sights connecting to universes beyond touch. I see you clearly now. We are one and the same, possibly twin flame, and it is grounding to know that not only my cells feel the unseen and hid in imaginative worlds where reality was too bleak and tightened our voices, that we both danced on stardust and searched for other beings because we were foreign too, sliding down beams of light into earth every now and again, dropped onto separate lands on the same plane, gradually uncovering similar force fields, energetically supporting each other's worlds until we can dance on stardust again, together as vessels, same land, same plane, breathing in our atmospheres. Yeah, so that's Star Child. yeah, I had this friend and we just had like this really kind of spacey connection, and that's what this is. And I'm gonna end the readings on Star Child. I do want to like go over um, like the preface of the book, especially for those like who missed, I guess, what the book is kind of about, what the collection is more so about. And let's see if I can pull it up. Okay. So, preface. So, the book again is called Spirit Excavation. And so excavation, the definition of excavation is the action of excavating something, especially an archaeological site. It's unearthing, digging up, uncovering, revealing, scooping out, hollowing out. So it's really about digging into yourself, digging into your spirit, into who you are. And like, I'm somebody who reflects all the time. Like, I spend a lot of time in solitude. I spend a lot of time reflecting. And so for me, like, to have gotten something completely different that I haven't like ever written about was like the coolest thing. Like I said, I'm known as a Love Jones poet. The poems that I wrote were so different from anything I've ever written before. And so it was such a cool exercise. So let me get back to the preface because I'm just like going off. So, my preface. For nearly 25 years, I've used poetry as my outlet for expression. I've been writing songs longer than that, but for me, poetry comes with more freedom than songwriting. It wasn't my plan to begin writing a second collection of poetry when I began writing the poems in this book. I was only trying to get back into writing on a more regular basis. Each week, I'd choose a poem from the books of poetry that I own, a lot of Rumi, and then journal about it. And I used many journal prompt questions from the poetry website Little Infinite, which I mentioned earlier. So a few days later in the week, I'd use what had come up for me while I was journaling to write a new poem. And so it was eye-opening, at times really emotional. And I did this every week for several months. And then I was like, hey, it could be a book. So I combined these new poems with a few older unpublished poems and then some new poetry that I wrote from my work in Mellow Vibes. And that I reflected it, just like the works that I thought that reflected the inner work that I was doing. And this is now, here we are. So I narrowed it down to 40 poems that I hope that you'll be able to enjoy and reflect upon. Oh my gosh, I just noticed a typo. Oh no. Where is my BFF, Jan J? Because I had her proofread this. It's a typo on upon, and it actually says like opon, but okay. One typo is alright. I've seen books with many. So yeah, so I also decided to add in some personal photos from various travels of mine, from Italy, Hawaii, South Carolina, St. Martin, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Nevada, Maryland, New Jersey. You know, just pictures that I thought went well with the poems. And so really I just hope this encourages you to do your own excavation, to get to know yourself on a deeper level. Yeah, Cho, you just popped in. I literally just read this poem that was basically written about our friendship. Yeah, that's the preface of the book. That's what the book is about. Like, so I thought it was going to be an hour, but we're only like, what, 35 minutes in? So, cool. But I like I said, I have like family coming like any moment. But if anybody has any questions, let me know. Again, you can purchase Spirit Excavation on my website. There's a few copies that I have kept for people who want to order it from my website, but you can order it basically anywhere you can get books, which is super cool. And what else? It's $13. It's the same as my first book. I like the number 13, but also like when you're printing books, like it doesn't actually amount to anything profit-wise. So, yeah, and again, I wish I had the book to show you. I'm still waiting on it. You know how the mail has been since, a while. But hopefully I'll have it next week, and then I'll do a video that I'll probably just put up on the Mellow Vibes YouTube page of the book, and super excited to see it. Oh, oh, it's the thank you. You like my ring? I love it. I love it. It's a moonstone. I was never really into diamonds, so it's a moonstone and like little topaz. Um, yeah, so that's kind of all I have to say about the book. Again, I'm going to celebrate my favorite pizza from Philly that should be here at any moment. Um, all the way while I'm up in the mountains of Massachusetts. Why can't I say my own state name? So I think that's it. If there's like no questions about the book or writing or what I can say is since doing this for a while, like I said, I think I actually started doing this excavation process in, I don't know if this was from that. So it's either November or December 2019. So in doing this for a while, I actually do a class now. I'm an instructor at Bloom Healing Arts Academy. You should definitely check it out. I teach a class, or I lead a class on doing this, and I think was it last week or the week before, I had like, because it's a two-part class, I had like these really good classes with the students that were there, and it was beautiful. Like, it was really like eye-opening for that person that was in the class, and yeah, it's just a really great process. So hopefully this inspires you to write more, to journal, to do poetry, just to get to know yourself better, because there is always more to know. May you have a signed copy, please? Of course. Oh, I love you too. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I think that's really all. Like I said, I have the class if you want to like jump into it. Again, that's through Bloom Healing Arts Academy, and that I do this poetry excavation. I do it on Fridays typically, and yeah, you can just Google Bloom Healing Arts Academy. Also, it might be on my profile. It should be on my profile somewhere. And Instagram, it's definitely there. Somewhere on my website, it's definitely there. Go to Mellow, yeah, you'll find everything you need to know on mellowvibes.com. Again, that's vibes with the Y, MELLOWVYBES.com. Literally everything that you could possibly need to know is on my website. Bloom Healing Arts, I have it's right on the front page. So you'll be able to check it out, and there's a ton of great classes, but that's one of the classes I teach, and I have like a couple more there, and there's other instructors doing amazing things. And other than that, I think I'll sign off. Again, just thank you for everybody who joined that I saw and hear. Darlene, Troy, my mom, Larry, Barbara, Joe, Mike. There were some other people on Instagram, but like Aubrey, I think I saw in there, and yes, I think my boo is here too. So, yeah. Hopefully everyone has a great night, a great weekend. And again, thank you for being here. I'm super excited about the book. And thanks for celebrating with me. I appreciate it. All right, I'm signing out now. Peace and mellow vibes.